I think banning Galio is very smart against H2K, seeing as that is one of the champions you could use to play around Smittyj even harder, or maybe play around bottom side if you want to try and enable Sheriff. So I like the Galio ban. I actually really want to see Caedrel play something where his focus is not on being a big carry, but more being on setting other lanes up to succeed. We just had Aurelion Soul from Caps. Talia was banned in that game as well.
Could see it.
And, I mean, Caedrel is a famous Twisted Fate player.
Oh.
I'm not saying we're going to see it, but it's that kind of style I like to see from Caedrel, where it's not about him winning the game, but about him setting up an AD carry or a top laner to win the game.
Well, when you've tried a lot of other options, sometimes you just want to go back to basics, go back to what you're comfortable with. We'll see if they get a chance to do it. Now, we got a few more bans to catch up on. Nunu makes an appearance in the ban column once more alongside that Braum. And the Sejuani is going to get locked in by H2K. So Santorin has got a strong jungler to work with.
Another option for H2K is go full-on late game. Strongest late game possible, like they tried to do against Fnatic. See if you can stall the game to the late game, and then you can start playing team fights on a more even setting, where maybe even your team will have a slight advantage based on champions. You don't have the advantage based on individual talent, but then you can draft just better late game champions than the enemy team, and you can win that way.
I don't know if G2 eSports are going to be too keen to give them that late of game. They're packing quite a punch with those first two picks. It's a Ryze and a Tristana.
Yeah, that is always scary. PerkZ's Ryze is very, very good at using his advantage to go for these different side lanes. But as we see now from H2K, it is a late game. It is Azir, it is Sejuani, no big surprises.
I don't know if I've ever seen this matchup before.
No, I don't know. Maybe the first time.
All right.
If they go Caitlyn as well, we might get a Gathering Storm Caitlyn, who's also waiting for 4 items.
Well, they've got the tools in the kit. Let's see if they lock this Caitlyn in for Sheriff. No Sheriff or Piltover just yet. It's the Alistar for Promisq.
With Braum and Tahm Kench removed, I like that. I think you can definitely grab Alistar. There's no real risk of you suddenly getting hard counterpicked where you can't do a whole lot. So I like the choice. And Promisq is famous for his Alistar. It's always been his best champion.
Absolutely. Now, G2 are going to opt to lock in a jungler, as their opponents had already done it. The Zac for Jankos. So this is a real ganking champion now that Caitlyn is off the board with the next ban coming in.
They might be kicking a mid laner who's already down. Ryze and Zac, amazing at ganking and shutting down mid laners. We've seen it from other teams already. If they think back to Vitality versus Fnatic, Gilius and Jizuke against Caps. This was this kind of setup. Azir on one side, Ryze, Zac on the other one. Perma gank mid. And once you get the advantage, Pyra, you take over.
Easy. And like they've got all the right things, not just in champions, but in the team style to do it. Everybody looked at this lineup when they first got announced. Jankos, PerkZ, that is going to be no fun for every enemy mid laner that they encounter. Now, let's get back into this one because Varus also banned away. They're focusing on Sheriff. There's one more ban for H2K, but I'm starting to think Sheriff is a guy that's pulled out a couple interesting things. You mentioned late game. Might this be the Vayne?
You know, we killed Vayne on this patch. We nerfed her.
Damn it, I forgot about that.
We nerfed her pretty hard. So
maybe he's still crazy enough to take
definitely not expecting that one. If you want to go full late game, there's a Jinx. Thank you. Someone please pick Taric in Europe. It's really good. Other regions will play Taric, but here in Europe, very few teams will actually take it. Wadid, my boy, of course, can talk to all his fellow LCK supports, and they can probably convince him that Taric is worth it, especially against champions like Alistar, who wants to all in.
Fair point. All right, so G2 got themselves a pretty beefy front lane now. It's over to H2K, try and finish off their bottom lane to grab a top laner for Smittyj as well.
More scaling, more
There is the Kog'Maw, okay.
Right. This is, again, what we talked about, how H2K might just say, listen, pack full late game, just be as strong as possible in the later stages and get 2 team fights. It is all scaling on their side. If they get past the 30-minute mark, they can start really winning team fights. Then it's not about player skill anymore, it's about champions scaling better than what's on the other side. G2 eSports late game is not bad by any means, but this H2K draft, it's some of the absolute best late game champions you can get in this meta. In the game, actually.
Now G2 going all in on the post 30-minute mark. We'll set the clocks for that one. But for G2 eSports, let's see how much damage they can get done. Now this team, they're starting to find their footing here. They've got 2 wins on the board, some hard-fought ones at that. And I feel like things are starting to come together for the 4-time champions.
But this is the kind of game where G2 might just get ahead in the early game and speed it up and see if they can finish before H2K reaches that late game with their draft, because you have Ryze roaming, super strong for that. Taric is great at enabling ganks in the bottom lane, and of course the Gnar top lane to try and push in the Gangplank. Multiple lanes that G2 can play aggressive in, a roaming mid laner and a jungler in Zac who can gank from any angle. So there are a lot of ways for G2 to just speed up the game and never allow H2K to reach this late game with their draft.
Well, H2K will have to weather that storm. Can they do it? Can they build some confidence for themselves, for the fans? They need to ride it out until they are powerful enough to fight, and it will be an uphill battle against G2 eSports, a team that is also looking for something to prove. They're looking to prove something, I should say.
What do you want to prove, Pyra?
That they can do it again. I want to see them prove that they are deserving to get all the way. 5-time champions. That's what they got to be gunning for, man.
Of course.
It's the throne. They want to make sure. You got to earn it every single split, dude. You don't get to keep that thing.
That's true. Once you win the split once, the only goal is to win it again. You can't just say, I'm happy being top 6 anymore. No, you got to win the split again and again and again.
Looking like dusk on the rift right now. For G2 eSports, time is going to be ticking. Let's see how much damage they can do early on. It's a good thing we start on that mid lane, because I feel like that's where a lot of action is going to be. Caedrel's going to have to watch his back.
He needs to be careful. He is running Cleanse to try and get out of some of the CC from PerkZ. And I like the fact that G2 are showing up with 2 minion dematerializers. One on PerkZ, one on Hjärnan. Once again, further facilitate pushing in the lane, getting the priority where you can roam first and you can force plays. It's all about, my favorite word, tempo. G2 want to get priority so they can make plays, while H2K can't react in time. Fabulous.
Outrageous, even. All right, guarding the entrances here. Looking for nothing too silly. It looks like both junglers are going to be starting on the bottom sides to get the clears off.
Now, Pyra, if you are Santorin in this game, it's rough. Because top lane, there's not really any gank set up from a Gangplank. Mid lane, you typically want Azir to hit level 6 first, so you can use his ulti to, again, set up a gank for you. And bot lane, you are playing into a lane with a jump from an AD carry and a stun from a support, plus 2 stopwatches. So it can be difficult for Santorin to find a lane to play around, and you might just have to focus on counter-ganking and vision early on.
Well, maybe you can do to Jankos what we saw last time against PerkZ and just shut him down early in the jungle.
Yeah,
of course, it didn't work out in the end, but still.
Can't do that when your top laner is getting pushed under his turret, because it's a Gangplank versus an Gnar, so that invade will not be as effective. Meanwhile, mid lane, Caedrel and PerkZ, early trading happening, and gotta remember that minion dematerializer, you cannot use it to get level 2. It will not be active in time. You gotta wait a few more seconds before it's ready for PerkZ, and then you can use it to try and get level 3 for himself. But ideally, you use the dematerializer at least once on each separate kind of minion. So a caster minion, a melee minion, and a cannon, because then you get 4% increased damage against these minions for the rest of the game. Everything else, when you use it the second time on the same kind of minion, it only goes up by 1 extra percentage and not 4. It's only the first time.
Trying to optimize their ability to speed things up, as you said earlier on. Now,
he is actually trying to do it.
Is going to find Jankos, who sticks some goo on top of him, but he's going to be able to easily smite that away.
See, this was a good call from Santorin to say, wait a minute, he's actually here. I'm not going to take this fight, because Gnar can just walk in behind me and punish me. So Santorin checked, found Jankos, stepped away.
All right, well, he might have a hard time ganking in the lanes, but it's nice to see him try to find a few plays early on. More trading back in the mid. Now, Caedrel taking a little bit low, but he fires back with those sand soldiers. I do want to talk about that top lane, though. You mentioned in picks and bans, this is the place that H2K can and should play around, because Smittyj has been pretty much the best performer on this team.
Yeah, again, highest damage percent of top laners for the team, so basically on H2K, Smittyj is dealing 30% of the team's damage, which is something we don't see very often from top laners. And he's been playing a lot of Vladimir. He had the Jace game as well, so he's been playing a lot of champions that can deal a ton of damage. GP is another one, but sadly for H2K, it's hard to play around Gangplank in the early game. You just cannot let him sit there and farm. Use the Kleptomancy to get as much gold as possible.
That, of course, helps him speed things up so he gets to that later game.
Exactly.
And we saw yesterday what a really late Gangplank can do. Now, Hjärnan's going to get caught just for a second. Nice damage from Sheriff and Promisq, and the junglers find themselves once again, this time around Dragon Pit, but Santorin can pull the same trick and hop the wall.
At least Santorin can actually see where Jankos is on the map and can kind of ping that for Caedrel, but we had PerkZ TPing back to lane. The lane where he needs to push and roam if he wants to be active. Well, Jankos...
Turnabout's fair play here. Jankos, oh, he's looking for a little bit of extra steal or some harassment inside of Santorin's jungle this time around. He's taken pretty low, and the red buff's there. Now the supports want to get involved as well. There's a knock-up and a knock-back. Wadid taking a little bit of extra damage here, and the Dazzle got for that geometry here. Promisq, he's taken low. Flash is already away under the safety of the tower.
Yeah, Jankos knew that H2K's bot lane couldn't roam because they were stuck under that turret here, and PerkZ also looking towards the bot lane. No ulti yet, though, to get over the walls. And he will not get there in time. Flash gone, though, from Promisq's side, and Hjärnan gets some free damage on this bot lane turret, and we keep talking about it. G2, early mid-game. Push, push, push. Get the advantage. Set up roams, especially with the Ryze that is waiting for his ulti.
Now, G2 looking to be fairly comfortable in the driver's seat. However, I do want to talk a little bit about one of the things that's maybe a little bit worrying for G2 in this meta in general, and that's kind of Wadid's preference. We saw it last year when he was really in his element. He played so many of these like crazy engaged champs. We saw the Thresh, we saw the Rakan, and now it's kind of like the tanky meta, right? So I'm wondering if this is just a little out of his comfort zone.
I mean, he could definitely play the defensive supports, but he shines on playmakers, 100%. That's what we like to see from him. I think he's waiting and hoping to see the meta change a little bit, so that becomes the standard. Like Zyra Rakan coming back would be great for him and Hjärnan. We see it from a few teams, but it's not very effective when it is played. But that would be something that could benefit him. For now, though, he has to stick with the Taric, where I guess you can be fancy and flash stun.
Yeah, I mean, that is a playmaker. It's just,
it is. And then you can click your ult at the correct time, and that's also a play. Defensive plays also count.
Well, it can be an aggressive play, too.
Oh, yeah, true.
Better than a stopwatch dive.
Yeah. It is true, it is true.
Yeah.
All right.
Good old Cosmic Radiance.
They got level 6 on PerkZ.
Yes.
Jankos been looking for Santorin a few times, haven't found a big gank just yet. It's okay, just happy with this so far. Farm, 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 do nothing else but farm.
And G2 are just pushing really deep in the vision game. Look at that bottom jungle. They're spotting Santorin wherever he goes here. I'm wondering if the game plan isn't to try and secure that early dragon, or if they are looking for a dive down bot.
Well, I mean, Infernal Drake is a bonus, but ideally you want to get a turret down, you want to get kills to speed up the game, end the laning phase, utilize your split push with double TP against, of course, Caedrel's Cleanse on the other side. And at the moment here, Hjärnan is doing fine, but you got to remember, once Sheriff gets his Rage Blade, he's strong. Let's see top.
All right, a little bit of a fight. Gnar versus Gangplank. Smittyj got scooped and booped a few times. That's Smittyj. He's going to be able to hang tough. Level 6 v level 6. Of course, one thing Smittyj can do that Wunder can't do while his TP's down is affect the rest of the map. That Cannon Barrage, that could help them out if a dive comes down bottom like we were expecting.
Yeah, could be something. Obviously, double TP as well on H2K's side in the bot lane. Sorry, double TP and double stopwatch. Makes it even harder to get them low enough to actually kill them and then tower dive them. So that's something to look for, but that's why, again, we're looking mid to see if PerkZ can get that advantage against Caedrel. He's currently winning by 10 CS. And Jankos is around mid as well. Will they look for some sort of play?
This would be a serious dive down, but there's always the potential of getting shuffled back. Or pushed away, even. Jankos still sniffing around, but he's not gone for the commitment just yet.
It's tough in this meta, again, to force too many early plays with all the defensive tools teams have. You gotta remember, if they do tower dive onto Caedrel, they can use the Ryze ulti to get the Zac back out. So it is a possibility if you want to play very aggressive, but PerkZ needs to get Caedrel low first. Oh, he actually thought there was a... Never mind, you don't want to move up. I thought he was like, oh, Zac might be here.
Quick enough. Now, he is also the only one on H2K side that doesn't have that stopwatch, too. So, in theory, he is the easiest to dive.
It's just that cleanse. PerkZ really wants to get rid of it.
Yeah, trying to force it. Caedrel's got to know that this is the game plan, though. And now you can see where the Zac is, too.
He knows.
Pushing Santorin out of his own jungle.
100% he knows. PerkZ also now used all the dematerialized stacks, getting a bit of bonus damage on the minions, so he can push even faster and keep Caedrel under this turret here. But as long as H2K are not losing kills, not losing turrets, then they are doing fine with this scaling comp here. But now we get one of the roams we've talked 5 million times about already, because it kind of is the name of the game at the moment for G2.
Yeah. Well, as you've explained, though, it's difficult to pull this off. I mean, while there really wasn't any winning lanes for H2K, the flip side of that is the fact that when you're pushed under your tower, it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to just make the big play on the other side.
And there's also now level 6 for Promisq on the Alistar to make it even harder to kill him. So I'm waiting for Jankos. Top lane dive on a Gangplank, mid lane dive on Azir.
Oh, he's got to be the one pressing the go button for sure.
Yeah, sadly for him, when he goes top, stopwatch will be used by Smittyj, and then Promisq will TP in, and then the gank might not work. So we get a great example of why some of the early games are slower here due to TPs and stopwatches.
It's more of an 8.1 sort of game, if you will. Now, Wunder is really making Smittyj's life a little bit hard in the farm game. You can see the 20+ CS differential, but I'm sure G2 would much rather have that kill now. Caedrel looked to go in. He actually ended up having to use the Emperor's Divide to push them back. It's a 2v2. The jungler's there forcing the flash out of Caedrel. But that will be all she wrote. One flash in the mid on PerkZ side and another one from Caedrel.
That was the aggressive play H2K could try and do here. Swoop in and knock PerkZ back, but Santorin and Jankos fight.
Speaking of aggressive, Jankos pushing on Santorin. Now, there is a tower pretty close at hand, so Santorin's able to limp over there. Nothing doing. No first bloods just yet. G2 is trying.
Now there's no summoners in Caedrel. That cleanse he was sitting on to try and save himself in case anything happened near mid is now gone. PerkZ had to use his flash. He's had to use it offensively, funny enough, to force it from Caedrel, but now there's a good chance for a top lane or mid lane dive. Jankos already moving bot side. Remember, PerkZ can TP in as well. And G2 can try and secure bot lane turret.
Yeah, give them some chance to get some extra damage on it. So we're 10 minutes in.
But they can't pirate because there's double TP at the bot lane of H2K, so they can just TP back to tower if needed. There we go.
Bad, man.
AD carry TP. Woohoo!
What a meta.
I like when you use TP to go to other lanes and kill stuff. Not when you prevent the team from getting your turret.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see it a little bit more aggressively. Now, we didn't actually talk about this too, because it's not matched on the other side, because Hjärnan, of course, going for the fleet footwork.
Exactly, so that is something H2K can use to stall the game further. The fact that, again, if G2 are making a play on one side, 2 or 3 guys might show up, but mid lane ganks.
Okay, no summoners. They get the knockup onto Caedrel. He bounces him back. Now, do they have enough damage for the teleport? He's going to complete the Sand Soldiers in the mix already, but Promisq has arrived. They root him for first blood. It goes Jankos' way, and Promisq was just a little bit too late.
And there's a reason we spent 5 minutes of this game just talking about mid lane, gank mid, setup plays. After the summoners was used offensively by Caedrel, at least the cleanse, and had to flash defensively because of PerkZ play. Well, easy gank now, and Jankos gets that first blood in the mid lane, setting up PerkZ for success. Let's see it again. Blob right onto him, knock him back. Once you get hit first, you can't get out. And yes, there's a TP coming in to try and save him, but that's just the support, and nothing Promisq can do.
Yeah, even Wadid was walking up as well. So, first blood, it does go on to Jankos, so PerkZ isn't going to be getting the lion's share of the gold for that one, but he does managed to push a wave of minions in that way, and it's adding to his already pretty sizable CS differential lead.
Exactly, and he gets a bit of damage on the turret from minions. He's up 1 level as well. He's gonna control this lane. Either kill Caedrel again or just go to top side and kill the Gangplank. Both options are there because now bot lane's TPs are on cooldown. Sheriff and Promisq can't help poor Smittyj if G2 pulls off a play against him.
But they just need to watch, rinse, repeat. They need to keep doing this, build up more gold. Remember, the timer we're watching for is the game clock. 30 minutes in or so. H2K really come online, and they're just trying to hold on. They're just trying to weather the storm. Now, Wunder has other plans for Smittyj here. He scoops him up. He throws the Big Ben his way. Let's see if he does extra damage. Cannon barrage. Wunder is going to have to limp out. That was close. Smitty almost bought it.
Smittyj forced to go back now, unless he wants to be greedy and stay. Doesn't know currently where Jankos is on the map. There's a lot of blue wards topside though to try and spot him if he should show up. Jankos instead is looking on the bottom side. There's an Infernal Drake to play for.
G2, a lot of pings here. Let's see if they want to use that advantage, the timing. Teleport's all down. Looks like they should be able to secure it up pretty easily. Now Smittyj still hanging around trying to push Wunder out. That's a lot of minions though, addition damage on this turret. While the rest of G2 are on Infernal.
Wunder's just getting free damage on the turret right now. Smittyj can't do anything against it, and Santorin is on the way to try and stop this. But he's gonna get spotted. Let's see if they can do something.
Okay, chasing him up. Does he have the damage? Gnar still ticking for a little while. He's a little slower here. And they get the Glacial Prison on, melting through his health bar. He's gonna burn his flash, gets the stun, and PerkZ has turned it right around, but Wunder can't get involved. It looks like PerkZ is just going to be a stun cage and walk away.
Jankos, meanwhile, Able to push in mid here, trying to see if he can deny some more minions from the Azir. Caedrel is back though to save it, and G2 now can get a bit of extra damage on his top lane tower. It's just a matter of time before it dies and they get the first turret in the game.
Yep.
Not very fast, but it's safe what G2 are currently doing.
I was going to say, name of the game seems to be chip damage constantly. They're going to be able to have a little bit better of a fight once they decide to do it, thanks to that Infernal Dragon. Jankos is pushing deeper into enemy territory. Does he want to fight with Santorin for the blue buff?
This is what we've seen from G2 and this new lineup. It's not all in aggression. It is calculated, the basics. Really understand how to not take 50-50s, but only make plays that are heavily in your favor. Let's see what happens here.
All right, well, that divide didn't do a whole lot there, but Caedrel is able to get out nonetheless. Teleport coming in for Sheriff and Promisq. They have arrived, but G2 backed off.
The spellbook meta, man. Randomly, the bot lane just TPs it. And then they get to walk top lane because the fight stopped, basically. Yep. Hjärnan now gets a free turret bot lane. Yeah,
well, Hjärnan's having the time of his life. I mean, Smittyj is going to be able to put a few more cannons that way, but Hjärnan is quicker on the draw than he is with that big gun, so he should be able to fire down turret pretty quickly.
In just a few minutes, G2 will have killed all 3 outer turrets and have a massive goal lead in this game. They will get the first one in the bot lane. Top lane is very low. Mid lane has been taking damage all game long as well. It's just a matter of time before they're 5-6k gold ahead.
Yep. Now the Rift Herald is going to be the consolation prize, of course, for H2K. And PerkZ, ooh, his back gets stopped.
Oh, he was shopping.
Smittyj did not decide to go all in on the commitment, but all the same, yeah, G2, pretty comfortable position right now. They're in, not really making any unnecessarily bold plays. And for this team, well, as I say that, they go in, force the flash out of Caedrel, and the ultimate out of Santorin. Okay.
I know he's a rookie, but please do not randomly start recalling in a side lane brush where you don't know if there is a ward or not. Very close to where the enemy territory is, like the entrance to the jungle is right next to this little brush. This happens. Now Flash is gone.
And barrage, though. That's
don't
defensive.
make it too easy, Pirate. Don't make it too easy for G2 to get these last outer turrets down.
Yeah. You can always see sometimes rookie tendencies happen. Caedrel, of course, a very experienced rookie.
Yeah, he's been
playing in lower leagues for quite a while.
Playing for a lot of years.
You know who else has been playing for a lot of years?
Tell me.
Hjärnan.
Yes.
This is a guy who, along with Wadid, really found his footing last year on Roccat. But in the first couple of weeks up against all the opponents G2 have had, I feel like we hadn't seen his full potential. Yesterday, against Splice, that changed.
That's what we saw from Hjärnan last year. These kind of numbers down the bottom, as you just highlighted here from the game yesterday. Insane damage per minute, being a large part of his team's damage as well. And that's what we want to see from AD carries going into the late game. This one here on Tristana, he's farming well. He's already secured 1 bot lane turret. And he will have another game where he's going to get fairly fed moving into team fights.
Yeah, and he's on a much more explosive champion this time around, too, up against Splice. And he was on that Caitlyn pickup. But Tristana, well, we've already seen at least once today what a fed Tristana can do.
For now, this Tristana needs to just kill turrets. You can see H2K sending the dual lane up here to try and stop this from happening. But as I said before, just a matter of time before these last outer turrets die.
Sheriff trying to extend that amount of time. From the magic time we're looking for, 30 minutes, but H2K just a little bit halfway there.
It feels very far away.
It is very far away, but also G2 are about to open up the map in a big way. So there's the second one falling in the mid. And now they can focus all of their attention on the top side. Looks like we might be in for a fight. Santorin's waiting in this brush. I don't know if they want it. Oh, Hjärnan, that was super aggressive here. And the Cosmic Radiance comes in, and the Zac around the side is going to pull Santorin back, flashing and dashing. Can they make their escape? I don't think so. Looks like Santorin is nearly going to fall. One more auto attack, and Wunder's the one who delivers it.
G2 reacting instantly after killing that mid lane turret. 5 members top. They get that last outer turret. And now we're looking at a massive goal lead for them. Smittyj trying his best to even it out. Will secure a bot lane turret at least for H2K. Sadly, did not have his ulti for that last fight, but this is what happens again when the mid lane suddenly falls. Instantly, 5 members can show up in a side lane.
Yeah, it's turned into a 2,000 gold advantage, 4,000 I should say. Let's see how this one began with Hjärnan jumping in.
Did not expect Santorin to sit in the brush here, so he had to flash away before the Taric ulti connected, but didn't matter because H2K already had 5 members here and will only get 1 kill. Bunch of flashes down and, of course, get the turret while Smittyj secures bot lane tower. So at least the Gangplank is still farming. And that can be important because, as we highlighted earlier in this game, the man who deals a ton of damage for H2K, it is Smittyj. He's been the best performing member on this team. And on a GP in the late game, he can carry.
If they're able to make it that far, for sure. G2, for all the advantages they've gained for themselves, it's always going to be a question of, is it enough to close this one out? Is it going to be enough for this team? That's 2 kills. It's 4,000 gold to lead. Now Smittyj looking to cut off Wunder. Maybe he was just looking to cut off the minion wave. I don't know if he wanted to deal with Wunder.
He wants to just kill minions. not really the Gnar here, but
He wants to play PvE for a little while.
I mean, the first few steps have now been completed by G2, but in order to close out the game in time, they still need to secure Baron fairly early on. Santorin is trying to see if he can get some damage on mid turret with the rest of H2K.
And a Rift Herald.
So far, despite being down, H2K are definitely still in this game.
Yeah. They have the game plan. I mean, it's very clear. It's very obvious what they're trying to do. But beyond just surviving, they have been able to even things up a bit. That is a little extra gold, a little extra damage.
Smittyj could have used his ult here in case Hjärnan was pushing the turret just to kill the minions. But obviously Hjärnan just stepped away, so gets to keep that one for now. G2 eSports can secure another Drake, but sadly for them it's a Cloud Drake, not exactly what they need to snowball the game, and then they can start playing around Baron. They have a great turn with Taric and the Zac. Taric is also fantastic at the Baron itself because he can keep healing with his passive, constantly activating his Q again. But Wadid is not done what we see in the LCK, where Taric will go for tier just to get a much larger mana pool so he can spam more heals.
Whoa!
Caedrel getting caught.
That was really cool, but Caedrel, he's not getting out of there that easily, even though the Emperor's Divide went up. He went down. Jankos with another kill onto the mid laner.
He got so surprised right there. Jankos and Wadid together.
That was a dazzling play, man.
Yeah, that looked really good. Caedrel didn't even get to use his flash, and G2, again, they're looking towards this Baron here.
Yeah, that might be the Baron play. H2K know this is going to start happening right now. It's very early on the Baron, 21 minutes as it's starting up, and the Tristana just hops over the back of the pit, and now let's see what they can do. PerkZ takes a Realm Warp in to try and find Santorin. Cannon Barrage is there for the rest of G2. They just don't care. And the Gank Squad is going to net Hjärnan 1 kill. Onto the mid laner, or onto the jungler, I should say, and now it's pretty easy to see what's going to happen next. Without a smite contest, right back to the Baron pit.
And man, we talked about how G2 still needed the Baron if they want to really snowball the game, and then Caedrel gets surprised in the mid lane, dies, allowing G2 to go for a much earlier Baron than we normally get to see. Great setup here, so no vision in the brush. Caedrel sees the Zac fly in, and instead of flashing away, instantly just being like, nope, I'm out of here. He tries to set up the soldier so he can dash to it, but that's where the stun connects onto him, and suddenly he's locked in place and can't move. It cost a lot here for H2K. They were stalling and stalling. They just got a mid lane turret for themselves. Santorin, of course, can't do anything. Right here, they're trying to move in to see if they can stop the Baron, and when he's dead, 21-minute Baron for G2 eSports, exactly what they need.
Trying to make it nice and clean. And this is such a different game than we saw out of G2 yesterday, where their backs were against the wall, time and time again, up against Splice. That's a game that requires a different type of mental fortitude, trying to just outlast every single attack and turn it on its head, which they managed to do. But against H2K, trying to build those little advantages, trying not to get too over-aggressive and give H2K a chance to get some kills on the board. So far, they've kept them to 2 turrets and nothing else.
That is true, but still, I mean, giving over 2 turrets to a comp that wants to just play late game meant that that comp was still in the game and still scaling. Caedrel, though,
very true.
You can't make that kind of mistake where you end up getting caught with a long-range Zac flying towards you. When you have flash, when you have potentially quicker reactions, you can still dash out. And then when you die, you give G2 that early Baron that they needed to really push you down.
Well, it's not the first time he's had a slow reaction trying to back out. We saw the greedy brush back earlier that resulted in him burning his flash.
Yeah, that one also sucked for Caedrel. Tough game on his side and getting punished around that mid lane as we highlighted in Champ Select. Now look at PerkZ, he's taking a top lane turret. Wunder is eventually going to get a bot lane turret as well, and now suddenly all your outer turrets might be gone.
Yeah, that's the question. How much are they going to get off the Baron buff? So far, the game plan going G2's way. Pushing H2K deeper and deeper back. The admin advantages are stacking. Oh, Jankos pulling in Santorin. Santorin's also had a rough game this time around. He did try to make some aggressive plays. Now, Wunder, he might go down here with the Cannon Barrage. He's going to walk it out. The cannon, the barrel. Wunder's going to pop it. Jankos, uh-oh. It's 2v1. Pulls him back into the tower. That's got to sting. And now he's got the stopwatch on, but it's just buying a little bit of time. Flashing forward, tries to get the kill. Doesn't happen. Wunder leaps away. And now 3 G2 members firing down tier 2 in the bottom side.
Smittyj is trying his best here to try and get something back for his team. Almost took the 1v1, but then suddenly Jankos and Wadid showed up and forced Smittyj back. Meanwhile, PerkZ almost taking the top inhib turret.
And Hjärnan taking them in. I mean, they're just dragging them all over the map at this point. G2 know that they can just keep on doing this. The big Baron empowered minion, safe from a distance as the rest of the minions arrive. Wunder can just keep taking a couple more shots at it, clearing away the wave as he gets into the Mega Gnar. And H2K can't really do much, but watch their towers fall.
So, last outer turret gone, 24 minutes into the game.
How's that late game timer looking, Deficio?
Ooh, I mean, right now, if we look at the items, even before G2, all of them have gone back to shop. We can see Caedrel not completed 2 items just yet. Actually, just did it the very moment we talked about it. But PerkZ on the other side, that's 3 fully completed items, and he has a potion on him as well. 3 fully completed items on Hjärnan and a QSS. So it's still tough, and 30 minutes, it still feels very far away, Pyra.
Yeah, it's rough. Especially when you compare, you talked about Hjärnan and Sheriff. He's just sitting on a couple of swords. I don't even know how a Kog'Maw holds swords.
Don't question the game. The logic in League of Legends doesn't make a lot of sense. What is Zach?
Well, he's going swimming. That's what I know about this. See, he's got the snorkel.
Yes. But why does he need snorkels? He's like a blob.
Well, maybe blobs need to breathe too.
Apparently they do.
Yeah. See, it makes perfect sense is my point.
Yeah, I mean, he's a giant walking condom. That's what he is. So, again, don't question League of Legends logic.
All right. I don't really have any follow-up questions. But for G2, the only follow-up question for them is, how long is it going to take them to try and close this one out? Closing in on the victory. If they go 2-0 on the week.
If they get another fight, Pyra.
If they go 2-0 this week, though, how big of a confidence builder is that for how rough of a start this team has had this split?
I mean, it's fun to hear G2 talk about it because even when they win, they're like, nah, it needs to be perfect. You know, we made mistakes. We just need to keep improving. So,
speaking of mistakes, he goes golden. Didn't get a chance to get that realm warp off. He's going to burn his flash and trying to walk away, building some time for his team to arrive, but it's not going to mean a damn thing. And Sheriff's able to pick up 1 kill. A deathless game for the G2 eSports squad. Laying in ruins, but then again, H2K's base might be soon enough. Hjärnan gets a few pot shots off on that tower, inhibitor tower, and he hops away.
Can he get another one, Santorin? No ulti, sadly, for him, but PerkZ. Not sure if he expected some backup to be around, seeing as he didn't just combo out straight away, but with the engage happening, he just had to hit that Hourglass instantly, and that's a kill for H2K to buy a bit of time. Still in this game, well, far down, and shouldn't be able to come back at this point. 10k down. We still need to see if G2 can actually get an inhib. They have 2 turrets, mid and top lane, very low Pyra.
And it's close.
You talked about the confidence boost, like all that is of course great for G2, like they're aiming for first place, that's the whole goal, but they also know with the new lineup it takes time. As long as you have good scrim results and you're making some progress, that's all that matters, because we're only week 3. There's plenty of time to secure wins for G2 and guarantee a playoff spot.
That's very true. I think it's definitely even more important on the other side where you have H2K sitting in only that 1 win. We asked at the beginning of the game, question marks. We'll talk about that a little bit later because here's where PerkZ gets caught.
Yeah, sadly for PerkZ, couldn't do it, didn't have the time to use his full combo. So just had to try and dodge the knockup from Promisq, but there was not enough backup around and he ends up dying. And Hjärnan did not get the mid lane turret down in time, but with H2K, as you highlighted, that's where I'm going to start to panic a little bit earlier, because when you're sitting currently 1-4, if you lose this game 1-5 after 3 weeks, first of all, it's tough to be a new lineup. There's some young players on it, and you end up just losing games. I've been there myself. You know, you just lose and lose and lose, and it's hard to keep the trust going between you and your teammates. It's hard to kind of look and see all these issues you have you need to fix and overcome it. It's very difficult when there's so many things going against you, and you need a few wins in the start as a new team to really start believing in the project, and they're not getting it right now.
And the org itself is also in uncharted territory too. I mean, H2K, this is the first time they've fully rebuilt a lineup. Ever since qualification to the LCS, they've kind of had these star-studded players. You're looking at the likes of Odoamne, their opponent this game, Jankos, on the H2K side in past years, and they've always been a playoff contender, if not finalist, and now it's a lot of question marks around this team if they can pull together. As you said, though, it is early on in the split. I'm hoping to see them find some cohesion. Not sure if it's going to come this game, though. Wunder, once again, pulling Smittyj down to the bottom side. Baron back on the Rift, which means G2 could use that as a massive bait. However, they may not need it. Whoa, okay, maybe they do. Jankos gets denied. Looks like Promisq said butt out.
All right, Hjärnan though, finally will get his turret in the mid lane. He's been
Broke the
working on
base.
that one for quite a while.
Oh, he's got damage.
Straight for the end. Yeah, they're far ahead in items. They're very confident moving in. Looking for a potential fight as well. Sheriff gets to tickle Jankos just a little bit.
Well, Sheriff's starting to do a little bit of damage. He's got a lot of attack speed on that Kog'Maw. Those tennis balls are going to be rapid fire. Okay, they've got the stop off onto Jankos, so they have the damage. No, the Cosmic Radiance comes in, and Jankos bounces out. However, PerkZ, he didn't quite get the memo, and he's getting bopped and pinballed around, but that's okay. He says, stop and watch this.
Wunder, meanwhile, bot lane, once again. Hitting the turret while Smittyj hits the minions.
I feel like we're watching 3 different games right now. We're watching PerkZ game, we're watching Wunder's game, and then we're watching everybody else's game, which right now is going to be Baron.
Now we get Baron started up. H2K too far away to do anything. It's been a game that's been in G2's favor since basically 2 or 3 minutes in. Like, early game,
they've kept him down.
They got the CS advantage, got the goal lead. They've just been applying pressure onto H2K, who's trying so desperately to hold on.
Well,
they're hoping G2 is doing what Fnatic did when they played against H2K and had some over-aggressive team fight where they lost it and suddenly the scaling comp took over. It's not happened. G2 are playing it way too safe.
Just trying to keep it as clean as possible and not allow H2K back into it. For the most part, they have. You talked about maybe it's a little bit worrying they gave away a couple of towers. It means H2K's comp was working. 1 unnecessary death. But apart from that,
and not the end of
G2
the world.
have played extremely well, and you can see it in every advantage that they have. The only thing H2K have going for them right now, that 30-minute mark, we hit it. I mean, I feel like they still got a few items to go. Yeah, we're gonna add a few more minutes to that timer now. Sheriff is forced to flash away because Jankos came out of nowhere. That's the other threat, too. You can't really push too far with G2 getting vision everywhere on this map because you never know when there's going to be a surprise Zac hopping at you.
You don't have a jungle. The enemy team is sitting with 4 jungles in
They
their
do have a base,
favor.
though.
Yeah, for now, they do. They will soon not even have inhibs on the side of H2K. G2 should be able to finish doing this Baron here. Wunder is just stacking some more damage. Where's my Hurricane Gnar?
Bloodthirsty top lane.
I want to see more Hurricane Gnar. I see it in some of the other regions, LPL, LCK, we've seen it. It's really good for just perma pushing, but this guy, I think
he wants to win some fights.
He wants a bit more lifesteal for himself.
He's already got 2 kills, maybe looking for some more. Now, pushing on multiple lanes here, Wunder in the Mega Gnar form.
And now we know, H2K will have to force a fight if they want to stay in this game.
Yeah.
If they do nothing, they lose 3 inhibs, and after that they will lose the Nexus.
We're seeing it happen. They've got to hit the go button.
Well,
that goes 1, that goes 2.
It's hard because you're not standing 5 together right now. You're behind in items, so you can't really win the fight. They're like 3 level difference between the AD carries.
Yeah, G2, they just come in, knock the bases right down in front of them. It's like that mean kid at the beach just knocks down your sandcastle right in front of your face. Can't do anything about it. Promisq on the backside, looking for a play. Not going to happen.
They're trying now.
And a barrage coming in. G2, that's already 1 Nexus turret fallen. The hopes and dreams getting crushed here of H2K, and they're getting chunked out to boot. That's a lot of damage. And for good measure, the Cosmic Radiance comes in. Caedrel swoops on by, but that's going to be the double kill over to PerkZ. And this game is over. Okay, about 30 minutes was the timer. Just a little bit past, but it was G2 that closed this one out nice and clean to come back 2-0 on the week. And that's a good look for this team.
And we did change to 35 minutes, Pyra. And it didn't get there, sadly, for H2K. We talked about this coming into the game. You know, if you can't play around any of your lanes except for top, then it's hard to play an early game comp. So what you do is you draft full late game, like they did against Fnatic. It worked once, they tried to make it work again. It was scaling, 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 fall behind, but hold on. And that's fine. I think that's perfectly acceptable in this meta, but then you can't make some big individual blunders. Caedrel getting caught in the mid lane when the Zac flies in with the turret attached to him. That kills him. G2 sets up for a 21-minute Baron. If you're playing the stalling comp, you stall Baron for as long as possible. 21 minutes in, it died. G2 got all the outer turrets, and now they were suddenly 1.5 items ahead of H2K, and then it becomes impossible to stall.
I feel a big theme of this game was the difference in experience between the individual players. G2 is starting to gel more as a team, more than H2K is at the moment. But also, these guys have all been on this big stage, for the most part, a lot longer than, especially some of the members of H2K, a lot of rookies. We're seeing the mistakes.
Yeah.
They're small. I mean, they will happen, but you can't make those mistakes against some of these players who will punish you.
And with G2, again, we get this kind of game where the focus is not on just all-in aggression or taking crazy team fights. It's super, super calculated. You know, now we get this turret, then we move to the next one. Don't chase for fights or for kills. You know, just focus on the turrets. And it is the correct way to play the game. If you have the advantage in the early to mid game with your draft, this is how you're supposed to play it. Sure, they lost one or two turrets, but they were still in full control.
Absolutely, and it was a complete team effort. But of course, we also want to know who you guys think of is going to be the player of the game. This time, it's going to stand between Jankos, PerkZ, and Wunder. So head over to @LOL Esports on Twitter. Give us your choice. We'll highlight your winner after the break. And I think, honestly, those are all fine choices.
You have to say that, Pyra.
Yeah.
You know, we have to support our fellow colleagues.
Of course. I mean, that's how we decide out of the pool. Of course, it can't
I'm
be all
going to
five.
vote for G2, the team.
Oh, wow, the wild card. Okay.
The boring one.
Fair enough. I think the fans might have something else to say, though. Now, following the break, we're going to hear the story of the Dark Child, Annie, and her journeys in the Iron Spike Mountains. After that, Misfits Gaming, who are on the hunt for the EU LCS